Welcome back to an episode of Messaging Call. Today we are going to continue the series of looking at the 4 values of the Agile Manifesto. So we're going to talk about the third thing, which is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. What does that look like? It should be fairly simple and straightforward when we say customer collaboration over contract negotiation. How it looks is that here's a set of requirements, or here's my project, 5 pages, 10 pages, whatever that is. You tell me how much it's going to be. So oftentimes we land in that situation when now as a project manager or somebody that is looking into it, I'll go through the page and say, okay, yeah, it's going to, X number of money. It's going to cost us, $10,000. We need, 20 people. It's going to test us, 6 months, for example. So then the other person might say, hey, wait a minute, no, the other company is more or less and you need to bring a price down. So you go into this, what we call contract negotiation. So that's round one, right? You negotiate the pricing of it, negotiate time. No, it should be taking 4 months, for example, and should cost less and things like that. That's contract negotiation. That works out great if you know when and how exactly how you're going to solve the problem. So oftentimes when we do software, that's not the case, right? I've been in projects multiple times in the past where we say it's going to take X, but it took Y. It didn't go according to plan. Why is that? Because when we do those kind of upfront project negotiation or contract negotiation, we know the least. We don't have enough information. We have maybe 4 or 5 pages, and the work's supposed to take 6 months. We don't know everything there is to it, or we don't know the landmines, right? And we hit certain landmines. So it's good and great to have that up front, but ideally what we're looking for is say, hey, this is the forecast, this is the projected how much it's going to cost. But along the way, we should be able to work with you as a person asking, as the customer says, here's what you want, but along the way, I want to make sure that you have the full power to say no to not proceeding, right? Think about that. Giving a customer or me or you as a customer the power to say, stop, this is enough. I'm not going to proceed more, or I won't continue more. And you get that choice all at every short intervals. It's kind of like playing poker, playing Texas Hold'em, right? First time we see the hand, we then decide if we want to play or not. You bet some. So you're risking some, not risking all the chips that you have. Some people may do that. But then you get a choice to say how much do you want to play. Same thing here. We want the idea of where we're working with the customer so the customer understands and making sure that we deliver what they're looking for. So along the way, ideally, we have an agreement of what the outcome looks like. Here's the outcome we're trying to achieve. We're trying to fix specific risks, reduce specific risks. Therefore, we create this application. We're trying to reduce costs in a specific labor-intensive area. Hopefully this application will help do that. So those may be the outcomes that you want, right? Now, how do we go about that? That's when we have to sit down with the customer to go over those things. One of the things I love to do is I love to do story mapping, right? If you haven't heard of this idea called story mapping, look it up. There's a book by Jeff Patton. I think it's Jeff Patton. I'll probably need to pull up the book right here. But the book talks about story mapping and how you can make sure they deliver value, deliver the outcome they're looking for in the what we call minimum viable, right? And then you can work with the customer, making sure that they are understanding of what the outcome looks like and the direction you're taking. So those is kind of what we want. Sometimes I would see, an example is that I ask for a what we call center of excellence, for example. You may have to work with center of excellence or a group. Sometimes you go in and says, hey, can I ask you guys to help me do X? And they would say, cool, put it in writing, and then we'll let you know. That's contract negotiation. That means I'm not talking to individuals. I'm sending in a piece of paper. They then take a look at it, come back in email, ask some questions, and then say yes or no, and I'll let you know when it's done. That's contract negotiation right there, right? I don't see any progress. That's not what we want. Customer collaboration looks where, hey, here's kind of what we want. We have the chance to sit down face to face. We talk about it, answer any questions. And then along the way, as we build the stuff, we bring it to the customer, have them get the feedback, adjust as we go. So that's the difference between customer collaboration versus contract negotiation. Sometimes you don't have access to your customer. Sometimes you don't have direct access to them. So you have to work around those things, find out ways to test your hypothesis in terms of whether it works or not. So you may create certain things where, a small area, a small subset of the users test it out and see if it works or not. That's kind of ideal. You should be doing that. If not, then you might be delivering the wrong thing or might not be solving the problem that you really think that you're trying to solve. We're not saying that we don't do contract negotiation. We're saying that there's more value in customer collaboration versus purely contract negotiation. We don't want this adversary effect. We want working together. Now, when you involve your customer in it, when you involve your users in it, the chances of is that your users will be a lot more happy with you. They're not just based on timeline and saying, hey, you don't meet the project, you didn't get it done on time, but it allows for changes to happen. If the market shifts, the customer say, hey, we're going to stop and we're going to shift and we can still use your product because it was delivered in such a fashion that you have customer feedback all the way through. So customer collaboration is a key fundamentals of Agile. It is part of Scrum. It's, ideally you need to be looking at that. So pure contract negotiation doesn't really work out in the software development side. In most things, I would say, even if you're not doing software, you probably encounter where you have much better satisfaction when the person producing it is in contact with you all the time. And you get to inspect the work. Even if simple as putting in a roof for me to look at it and say, oh, how are they doing? Building a house, going in and out, looking at it. Not just, pulling the curtain and saying, yeah, ta-da. And in the past, I've done that mistake before. I remember one of the projects I was on. I have, the customer comes to me and says, hey, I want to create this software, allows us to track how much gas and things like that. I say, okay, cool, got it. Thank you for your requirements. I go in and write my code, and after, a month, I come back and say, hey, here's what it looks like. And they look at like, this is not usable. We can't do this. We can't do that. Hey, the contract says 1 month, I'm done. Is the customer happy? No, they're not happy. I made a mistake and they were not happy with it. They didn't use the product after the fact, wasted their money, and they feel unhappy. They probably not going to come back to me again, which they did not. And it's like, well, since I did not communicate well enough with them and I don't work well with them, I missed the mark. I did not build the product that they were thinking that they were going to get. Now, if I were to turn around and say, along the way, I constantly ask for feedback, so which is collaboration, right? Does it look this way? Does it look this way? And then adjust as we go. A project might end up taking me 2 months to do versus 1 month, but the end result will be exactly what the customer look for. Or guess what? It might be instead of 1 month, it might be in 2 weeks I'm done. Customer's happy, they don't need to add more features, they can use it as is. So think about it, think about customer collaboration versus contract negotiation. So hopefully this helps you. And in our next one, I'm gonna try to hit on the last values, which one is that? Well, stay tuned. Bye.